Good morning, good evening or night, depending when you're watching this video. My name is Alegende and welcome back to World of Tanks and the greatest of games series, where we take a look at the greatest moments of certain excellent games. Starting off with me playing in my FSV A. Yeah, that's how it's called. Fuck it. I've played it not a lot. It was mainly due to my grind towards the new tier 10 wheeled vehicle from previous year. But what about those wheeled vehicles actually? Because, well, they've been in the game for a while now, almost a full year. And the wheeled mediums are kind of lackluster in the sense of not performing that greatly. But maybe with this video you might learn some tips and tricks to improve your games in your wheeled medium vehicles. And starting off, I am going towards a early ambush position in order to catch out, in this case, the enemy light tank. Even though my DPM isn't really on par with other medium tanks, light tanks you can still trade with. And well, trading you have, because these tanks have no armor. They are mediums, but they have basically light tank armor. Only for the wheels, of course, which can absorb, well, any caliber of shells when the time is right. But from this early positioning, you can get some early shots off, and this is quite important in order to get as many shots off before you are either getting spotted or being fired at back. It's pretty much free damage on that point. However, at some moment the enemies are a little bit too close for comfort, and even though I had full solid bushes between me and that Yo tank, the 165 meter distance was just enough for him to spot me after I fired. So quite of a distance miscalculations, although I've complained a lot about spotting Mahonix and how, well, irregular it seems. But now my forward position is gone. I cannot do free damage anymore, because whenever I engage with the enemies I immediately get spotted, and pretty much every shot that hits me will damage me. So what's this backup plan? Well, it's sniping pretty much, and that is what I'm going to do for a while at this location farther at the back. Wheeled medium tanks are generally quite good at sniping, having some feels of the Leopard tanks of the German tech tree. I do know that the tier 10 vehicle of this line gets compared a lot towards the Leopard, but is worse in pretty much any parameter. The Leopard doing almost everything better. But for a while I just keep on sniping, racking up some damage that way, or not, because, well, accuracy RNG of course is still a thing. And at some point the enemies are so close that it's better to hold my fire and keep them only spotted instead. Although my view range isn't the greatest, it can still do something. But with the enemy light tank still in play, this location eventually gets compromised. So instead I relocate towards another ambush location and stay there for a while. This is an interesting location on Malinovka. It's not the most standard of camping locations. That will be the forest further up north on the A line. But from this location you can see a lot more enemies traversing that middle ground right there. Most of the times enemies do that in order to get another angle at the forest. But now I'm here to keep an eye on that flank, holding my fire as long as possible, pinging a lot towards my teammates that they have an easy target, but relying on teammates is the most funniest joke in this whole game. But luckily this location still provides a lot of cover from enemy advances, so I'm easily to drive myself backwards into safety. And after that quick encounter I return towards this location, because it's quite important for our defense after all. But at some moment the enemies do push through just straightly through the A line, which I can do very little about on this moment. But when I see the light tank isolated far enough, I decided to take him out quickly before his teammates can get other angles on me and preventing the enemy light tank from taking more flanking shots at us. And I think that's also quite a strong point of the wheeled mediums. In order to quickly drive by and ambush enemy tanks, just quickly get the kill and get out of the heat. After that, I'm engaging the Type 58, gets a very lucky shot on right there. And with some repositioning, I get the jump on him and take him out as well. Quickly after, I get fired at by the artillery, and that way I know exactly where he is at currently. Just in the open, apparently. So from this moment it's trying to scout out as quickly as possible as time is ticking towards a close end of this battle. Go just straight through the open in the hopes that I can find the last enemy tanks. Try to capture the base, but it will be just 10 seconds too late to completely cap out the enemy base, so I quickly decided to go for the last few enemy tanks. However, in the cap circle I make quite the awkward turn, and that's also quite the disadvantage of wheeled medium tanks, is that the turn circle is quite ridiculous. So that's definitely something to watch out for. But luckily my teammate in the T-34-85M takes out a Hellcat and pressures down the command so far that I can take him out. Still, with just half a minute left on this battle. So quite a strong battle, ace tank of course, alongside with the high caliber award for almost dealing 3000 damage and with a decent amount of experience earned, although no further special medals. But since I haven't dabbled too much into the premium rounds, I get a decent amount of profit. Now let's move up a little bit. In the previous battle you saw me dealing with enemy tanks from quite the distances, never really in close quarters. But what do you do if the map is forcing you to play at more close quarters ranges? It's Godly's in the GSOR 1010 is going to show you exactly that, alongside with another strong point which I actually haven't realized that much that the wheeled mediums are so good at. But in the beginning of this battle, it's difficult to drive these things. I mean, the wheels, the turning circle, it's something to really get used to. The wheeled light tanks are far more nimbler, can turn far more sharper, while the mediums are more clumsy in that sense. So after that, it's Godly's waits a while before getting these spotted, because of course for at least 20 seconds. For me, I always count to 20 seconds, because it seems that I always get spotted for 20 plus seconds in this game. So not really surprised that he waited that long right there. But when he drives further into the city, he encounters his first enemy tanks and engages them with a quite standard procedure of peeking and poking. Just driving forwards, firing and driving backwards quickly. However, I feel that this is also a very strong point of the wheeled mediums. With decent gun handling and accuracy, you can quickly poke and pull back, because the reverse speed on these things are also quite high. And that way, its Godly's is able to rack up more and more damage within the city at close to medium ranges with just the most simplest tactic, which is also the most effective. This game of peeking and poking continues for quite a while, but at some point he decides to wait right here. Now I noted down the question why would he wait right here, and well, looking at the minimap, I think it's him just trying to get more overview of the whole situation across the map, checking out how many enemy tanks there are in the valley, how many potential there are further back in the middle and on the enemy backline, and just maybe also waiting for more of his teammates to join the front line. But I think mainly it is whenever an enemy tank gets spotted, he is willing to go forward to again peek and poke. And with more of his teammates on this flank, Gottlieb is more confident to go further forwards. However, at some point he does get fired at by the turtle and avoids this particular road in the city until the turtle gets respotted later on. Only then he is willing to go forwards once again. But quickly after that, his last teammate alongside of him on the front line here dies, so he takes one more shot and then gets the fuck out of there. Because why holding that position against 4 enemy tanks that can easily rush you? Alongside with on the way back, he requested his standard B to do the same, because of course he will face the same problem. Unfortunately, he doesn't get the memo and gets rushed by enemy tanks. Gottlieb does spot a possibility to outflank the turtle at this moment. However, I would not have done that because there's still that TVP behind. With quite the high amount of DPM, you will still lose a lot of hit points. Luckily, he gets killed by his teammates and Gottlieb is able to outflank him. Even the turtle gets shot down by his teammates and he loses 0 HP in that encounter. A little bit lucky, but on the other sense, it was quite the intelligent play, forcing the turtle to turn, allowing his teammates to hit him on the sides. So at this point, where should Gottlieb really go? Where should he reposition? Because he is actually checking all of the possibilities and isn't really quite sure on one particular point to stay at. Well, looking at the minimap, if he goes further towards the valley, he has to face the T-95 frontally, so that's quite the no. If he goes to the middle, he can still get flanking shot by the G-Sor all the way on the right, and there's still 2 barrages that can rush him down. So, on the most right point, his own TVP is alone and needs help. So he goes there, and this is the best decision, because when the enemies are pushing in, he has the correct location in order to counter them. Unfortunately, not on time to save his TVP teammate, but nonetheless, he prevents the enemy advance to go even further, being also able to shoot down his Rheinmetall Borsig Waffenträger if he had kept his initial location all the way back with that Waffenträger. Now engaging the Borask right here, spotting, but he also gets spotted. He quickly breaks, but it's actually a little bit too late and overshoots his solid cover. But by breaking so hard, the Borask whiffs his shot towards his most frontal wheel being absorbed. So this was actually quite the skilled trick on accident. Like breaking just a little bit too late, but enemies thinking that you're still having enough momentum because you still get around the corner on relative speed can mislead them towards thinking that they have to lean the shot further forward from you, and by doing that it's most likely that the shot either misses, goes right by in the front of you, or hits you at the very top of your tank, which most of the time will not do damage because of your tracks, or in this case, wheels. So in the end, he still takes quite a lot of damage from the enemy barrage, but he has enough hit points on this moment to allow that, taking out the last few enemy tanks this way. So in this battle, we saw the standard ambushes and assassinations alongside with a secret breaking tactic, which was done on accident, but actually works, so maybe a valid tactic after all. But for close ranges, the tactic of just simply peeking and poking is very effective because of the high reverse speed of these vehicles. This led towards its Godlies earning his first mark of excellence alongside with the Ace Tanker Award and another high caliber, for dealing nearly 5,500 damage. With the 5 kills, he earns a very respectable 1700 base experience, and with playing inside a premium tank with premium count earns over 100,000 credits. So now, after a few wheel tank battles, let's watch some original medium tank gameplay once again. Well, in this case it is me playing in my Cromwell Berlin with a bottom tier matchup, and immediately I was thinking of going towards the middle hill from the bottom left side. However, seeing so little of my teammates going there, which is not really that surprising because it happens a lot to me, I decided to go towards the lemming train instead of the flank that is most likely to be overrun very fast. So for now, rapid fire for some blind shots and actually shooting down some cover for potential shots that my teammates can do on that Indian panzer that was hiding there. And from this location I have more overview at different enemy tanks to shoot at, but shortly after my surprise fell when I suddenly saw a full health enemy light tank going past 2 of my heavy tanks and going straight towards my base, pressuring my artillery. Now I'm going to prioritize this light tank because I am the most mobile tank that is the most closest by. And during this encounter I'm making sure to drive a little bit slower in order to improve my accuracy, because of course on tier 6 you cannot fit a vertical stabilizer, but driving a little bit slower also helps a lot. And with the light tank being occupied with the artillery, I am confident that I can out-trade him, out-DPM him before he can shoot too many shots back at me, for the encounter not being valuable since I can lose a lot of hit points this way. But I am able to take out with only 1 shot of HE for 34 damage taken, so good trade right there. After that, going back towards my original location and alongside with overview options, I also see an outflanking option. Going towards pretty much my original location that I had in mind, but keeping an eye on all of the flanks, where that T-52 was currently at, to see if I am not getting outflanked myself. Now, out of the 2 tanks here, I'm focusing the Crusader. Could have gone for the KV-3 as well, but I think that the Crusader is more able to quickly get towards my location and can still deal more damage, while the KV-3 is definitely stuck there for a while, and during the time that he's trying to get up, my team is already arrived. But also funny spotting Mahonix moment right here, like going through transparent grass and still not able to spot that Crusader. He actually gets spotted by my heavy tank for some goddamn reason. I just don't have enough view range, but well, that's pretty much over the max. I have a very good crew. Maybe the Crusader has insane camo, but it's another ridiculous moment of spotting, and whenever bushes will work with you or against you, it's all RNG after all, so yeah. But up to now the battle is going great, so I don't have to complain that much. But when these things happen, when the battles are not going that well, it is just another scoop of shit on a already big pile of shit. Yes, nice analogy, very intelligent, right? Yeah. So on this moment I decide not to go further because there's still an unspotted SU somewhere, and alongside with the artillery they can actually double tap me and completely destroy me that way. So I am letting my top tier medium, the Centurion 1, take the initiative and back him up whenever I see that I can do so. When the SU pulls back, I see the possibility to move further up. Still keep in mind the other SU can poke at any moment, but knowing that the artillery cannot hit me at this location, I take the risk since I can take one shot of this SU. And finally I decided also to change towards HE because that's far more effective against these lightly armored tanks. But then you see when encountering the artillery that one shot hits the track, deals minimal damage, and another shot also hits some spaced armor, does minimal damage. So yeah, that also shows that HE doesn't work. But maybe I should just aim a little bit better. And that is game. Let's actually rewind a bit and see what would happen if I stick to my initial plan and go towards the G3, G4 area. I would still have some time to spot enemy tanks, but I would quickly be forced out of that location by the Tiger P and the KV3, and if I decided to go back down, I would have been captured by the Type 63 and would be stuck in a sandwich between the Type 63 and a Crusader and the Tiger P and KV3. I could have gone better towards the middle like the T-52 of our team was also doing, but he got destroyed by some sniping tanks, probably the SU alongside with the Indian Panzer, so this game would have been over quite quickly if I stick to my initial plan and going down first. But luckily I made the right decision and get a great result out of that. Another ace tanker alongside with the Livrados medal for destroying several higher tier enemy tanks in a medium. Also take a look on the amount of crits that I dealt. I noticed it while first watching the replay back. 8 critical hits. Of course, a fast firing gun does allow you to crit more critical hits. So for the critical hits campaign mission, definitely look towards the tanks with the highest rate of fire. And because of this high tier game, the amount of experience with almost 3000 damage is over 1500. And even though I didn't have premium account at the time, with the Cromwell B being a premium vehicle, I still made quite a good amount of credit profit. So let's finish this video with the main difference that we can take out some of the wheeled mediums gameplay and the regular medium gameplay. And we can see that overall the regular medium tanks seems to be outperforming the wheeled mediums in pretty much every single case. Maybe a little bit less on sniping because of the better gun handling and accuracy on the wheeled medium tanks, but that is because there are more regular medium tanks, which on average does make them a little bit worse in sniping. But a lot of similarities between different tactics that can be done, although I do think that the whole peeking and poking tactic can also be done better by wheeled medium tanks because they can retreat back quicker, while regular medium tanks do have a more limited backward speed due to their tracks. But all other instances on pretty much assaulting and assassinating quick drive-bys for kills, it is quite some similar tactics, but also quite an interesting tactic to finish up. What we saw at the very beginning was to go more quickly towards a starting location in order to get some ambush shots of some free damage before you get spotted. So with that, hope you learned some tricks about the wheeled medium tanks and enjoyed that final medium tank gameplay. That has been it for this video, hope you enjoyed it and I will see you next time. Laters!